Welcome in everybody to the Royal Rumble 2026 post show from the Hot Tag Podcast. I'm Future TV and I'm alongside my podcast partner getting the
Welcome in
hot tag
everybody to the Royal.
Pile Driver. Welcome aboard, sir.
What's cracking, Cat Daddy?
It's
Good to
cracking.
be here with you, man. What a show!
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion people are going to be talking about this Rumble for a long time, and not in a positive manner.
I have a funny feeling as well. I do. I have a funny feeling. And not
And
for the positive.
so let's get right into it. We started off with the Women's Royal Rumble match, right? So we had an interesting start, which I give credit to. It was an interesting way to get it started with the best friends. What did you think about that?
The best friends, intriguing. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss kicking off the Rumble. It was a little bit of a
Get there,
comedy.
buddy.
Yes, it was more like a comedy, lovable start to it all.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was new. It was different. You got to try some stuff sometimes. And it definitely set up a longer story from it throughout the match.
Yep.
And I got to give credit to the wrestlers that were in the match because they don't book it. They're given instructions and they go out and do what they're told. For what they were given, the wrestlers put on good performances. I think top to bottom, everybody showcased themselves pretty well. Aside from Nia Jax, you're still the drizzling shits and you should be fired. And you should be ashamed of yourself for not putting in any single bit of work to become a better performer. But outside of that, the other 29 women that were in the Women's Rumble did an excellent job. That said, on a I don't want to be hyper negative here because it's easy to do. But on a night when the Royal Rumble traditionally has always offered three things: surprise returns, some celebrity involvement, right?
Right.
And just generally speaking, surprises throughout. The only thing that the Women's Rumble offered from that was the return of Brie Bella, which was cool. It was fun. They did the homage to Daniel Bryan with the yes chants. Nikki was getting booed out of the building and getting "Thank you, Cena" chants. Um, but Brie's return was fun. Outside of that, um, it was an okay Rumble. There was nothing to write home about. Um, Sol Ruka did an excellent job in the match. Um, other than that, I wasn't really impressed with anything. How about you?
Not many things really interested me. There was a couple maneuvers that I thought paced very well. I think the final three was probably the hype of that Rumble for me. It's because the pace got
Mhm.
to build up a little bit quicker, faster, and not a little less, quiet on that form.
Yeah, and they were on their spots. They were working well together. They put on a good show. For what they were given to work with. Um, and I think that was probably the best part of the night was the Women's Rumble match. So notice I said nothing to write home about. It wasn't terrible, and it was still the best part.
Yeah, I can see that, and I guess this might be my first ever fired up part of the podcast that I have not done in years, but usually I get a little fired up. But when you say it's gonna equate to a lot of bunch of surprises, we are looking for surprises. We are looking for home runs, to say the least, and we got zero of that. We didn't get a single surprise
Not a
that
single bit.
I mean powerhouse, but that
And without getting too far ahead and jumping to the
yeah,
men's rumble,
yeah,
the next match we had was AJ and Gunther, right?
which again
Pretty
was
much
not
what
a
we expected
surprise.
out of that. Like AJ was gonna do the do the honors, go out on his shield. I do think it's telling he did not leave any of his gear in the ring. I think his WWE career is done, but I think he'll probably do a couple of cash spots. He'll do like a New Japan return for a one off. He might do some other stuff here and there, but I think pretty quickly he's going to transition into a retirement, do some teaching, maybe work for NXT down there in developmental, um, training new guys, and that's an honorable thing to do. AJ's never been anything but a credit to the business. Nothing but respect for him and the way he performed in that match. Gunther put in, and he put on a good match. However, the fans weren't really into it at all. I don't think Saudi appreciated what they had in front of them, to be honest with you. Um, and I I think Gunther was the wrong guy to have a final match with AJ. Not so much like for the sake of the storyline. Yes, it helps Gunther. That's cool, but you didn't get to see the best of AJ Styles on the way out either. And that's the unfortunate part is to get that kind of match, you kind of need somebody out there with him that's a similar style worker. Whereas Gunther, his whole style is about being a brute and a submission artist and control. So it's going to slow things down a lot, um, which can be good for storytelling, but it didn't translate well for the most part, especially when you could tell the audience already wasn't really into it. Um, Again, nothing but respect to AJ, but it, if you're going to come off of that match, you want to have a feel good moment of the night. The next match could have given the fans that. Um, Instead, it was kind of more of the same. Sammy gets buried, and Drew McIntyre walks out still the champion. Um, which I think is kind of the nail in the coffin for Sami Zayn's career, to be honest with you, because there's no reason to ever put him in the championship match ever again. Like you gave him the perfect scenario for any kind of storyline build up, and then didn't let him go over. So I don't think that the company believes in him as a performer. Um, and I've stated some reasons why that might be in the past, but I just don't. I think he's kind of hit his ceiling unless he goes and does some massive transformation and brings something new to the table. I don't think he's ever going to be the company guy. Um, Maybe he's content with that, but um, I think if you kind of get content in the business with where your spot is, that's it's not a good sign, to be honest. That just tells me you're just going to keep phoning it in for forever. So it's an unfortunate thing for Sami Zayn. It's he's never going to be in a better spot than in Saudi Arabia, coming off of a win in Toronto, or excuse me, in Montreal. Um, he's never going to be in a better spot to become champion and go over than what tonight was. And they still don't believe in him enough to make him the guy. So I think he's done as far as, nobody's ever going to believe him in the title picture ever again.
Well, I said
Um,
it. I said it. I mean, I said it on our episode 1 just a couple days ago. I said it. McIntyre's 12-0.
hmm
meaning Sami Zayn is 0-12 and now 0-13 against Drew McIntyre.
Right. And they had their moment for the underdog story. They had their moment for David to beat Goliath. And they didn't, which means they don't believe in him. They don't believe in him as, a hero of the company. Which is it's sad for his career. Like if you're just gonna do what you have done with him, you might as well just left him as El Generico, and because that's all he's ever gonna be. And as sad as that is, so
At this point, Sammy is like the Christian.
he's capable of a lot more, but he is held where he's at.
Yep. And I mean, maybe later in his career he'll finally win the big one, kind of like Christian did at some point. But the question is when? I don't think there's an if he can or if he will. I think it's when. Uh, he's not believable against McIntyre. I think we both kind of agreed on that part. But I
To be fair, though, he's not believable against most heavyweights. He's
and
not believable against really anybody bigger than, and I mean, this is stretching it, an AJ Styles type guy. He's never going to be believable against Obafemi. He's never going to be believable against Brock or Cody or Roman. Like, it's just not there. If the guy would go put on 20 pounds in the gym, maybe. He's got a good frame for it, but he doesn't put in the work. And maybe that's the company's issue with the guy. That is, from everything I've heard, that does seem to be the issue, is that he's not invested in leveling up. So they use him where it makes sense. So he's going to have to live with that or make some changes. That said, Drew McIntyre retains coming out of the match. And you have a little bit of setup further in the night. But the fans, as much as they were already dead, and again, this is, midnight in Saudi Arabia at the time when this takes place. This is not a hype crowd. So Arabian Nights are evidently not that big of a deal. Do you have anything more to add about that match? I don't really know that.
I will say this, Drew McIntyre. I felt like this reign was the reign that they give him that he probably deserved and earned for what he did during COVID.
To reward him. Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is probably 2 years. Should have been 2 years ago, 100%. Because McIntyre,
yeah, I mean, if not more. I mean, the guy's been
busting his
heavyweight
ass.
caliber. I mean, he's been a main event guy for the better part of a decade. They just didn't necessarily recognize that, and he did a lot of that in another company. So,
and he's not just the type of person that like he gets himself over not just in the ring or on the microphone. He's been doing that on social media. He's been using Twitter/X for over what, a year, 2 years now, and just getting himself over and just that in that way, in that platform, using that to like dog on other people that he's feuding with or people he wants to feud with later on the road. Like he uses that ability to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to use this as a platform from not just not just for me, but for the company itself." And he's been using it perfectly. And let's just say
and he's also maintaining character in his social media, which most performers don't do anymore. So I have a very strong appreciation for that. And I don't fault him for his position. He's earned it. But from a storytelling perspective, it left a lot of things dead in the water. It felt like, what was the point of this match? Like Sammy comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden he's in title contention, when the last time we really saw the guy much of anything, he was losing a mid card title. So it felt very much like they're throwing the guy in here, especially in in hindsight, watching and them choosing not to put him over. It's like, what was the point of this? Was this just an exhibition? Was this just a we're going to pander to the Saudis, which is exactly what it turned out to be. Um, it's the same thing that they did with Mustafa Ali. It doesn't make sense for him to be there, but because he's he's the demographic, we're going to put him there. And honestly, it's kind of insulting if I were in their position. I would not be too happy with the way that they treat that, but I don't feel like either one of them really benefited coming out of that match. It was just kind of a placeholder. It's a let's kick
Exactly.
the can down the road and say that he defended his title. Saudis are happy, that we came there and we did a show. They got to see their guy, and let's move on to the road to WrestleMania. And in kicking off that road to WrestleMania, we had the Men's Royal Rumble.
Yep, and yeah, this is part where I was just like, okay, I'm ready for the surprises because we didn't get any in the women's Rumble.
Again, yeah, the only thing we really got was Brie, and
Eh,
and I'll be honest here, I was really excited going into this Rumble. I felt like this was the first year in a long time. It felt like we really had some potential surprises. A lot of guys out there that are free agents right now that could have come back. Some celebrities that could have come in that people would have been excited for. Some great returns that could have happened, and we got none of it.
none, zero.
I'm just gonna like dive right into this. This year's Royal Rumble was the drizzling shits. You start the night off, with a cool little bit of storytelling with the match of Braun Breaker getting eliminated pretty quickly. They did build up Obafemi with all the eliminations. I thought that part was pretty cool, but other than that, you had the debut of Powerhouse Hobbs, aka Royce Keys, but that had already been spoiled well ahead of his debut, so nobody was surprised. Most of the audience had no idea who he was.
It's probably because of the entrance music, and it didn't actually throw his name out
Yeah,
there right off the bat either.
Yeah, I mean, they had Powerhouse Hobbs up there for a half a second, but the music hadn't hit yet before that went away, so the fans were still watching the ring. Um, it it didn't translate, so the timing there was off, which is a producer issue, by the way. Um,
I'll say it. I mean, I think he's gonna be a playmaker in WWE. I think Powerhouse Hobbs, aka Royce Keys, he's gonna do some stuff. He's gonna give you that edge that really they need. There's a couple of spots in there that I felt like he did very, very well and very, very good. I enjoyed the face to face with Cody Rhodes. I think that really helped a lot as well.
it was a nice nod, and they did a good job putting him over in the match to a point. Um, and they kind of acknowledged that he had a prior history that they'll get into later, etc. But I mean, there was everybody expected Jericho to return, but as you got down to like the final five, you realized it wasn't going to happen because you already knew who all of the remaining entrants were. We knew we were still waiting on Gunther. We knew because they had shown him backstage getting ready for the match that you were still waiting on Phoenix. You were still waiting on Dragon Lee, etc. So they ruined any potential surprises. Most celebrities won't go to Saudi because they're afraid of how it'll be associated with their career. So they didn't have any surprise celebrity entrants. No big returns aside from LA Knight's been out since December. He came in hot. The biggest pop of the night by far and I will say twice as large as the pop that Roman Reigns got. It was way bigger than Jimmy Uso got, or Jey Uso rather. LA Knight, the fans popped for him hard. They were buying into everything he was doing out there. He looked good. He got his, the company did a good job of letting him get his stuff in. But again, then they rob him of, what the fans clearly want is him in the world title picture. So it feels like, again, just hey, look, we got LA Knight, but we don't actually want him. We're just going to keep teasing you with it, but he's not our guy. Like, how much more do they need to learn that stop catering to who pays for the event to be there? Cater to the fans that long term are your investment. And they completely failed tonight. I was, and you know damn well that Oliveck booked that whole fucking Rumble. If it's going to be the headline match, his hands are all in it. He's booking it. He should be ashamed that that Rumble happened tonight. And again, not to take away from anything of the individual performers in that match, Javon Evans looked great. Randy Orton looked great. Jacob Fatu looked like, the rebirth of Haku out there. Everybody looked great. Although Roman Reigns, I will say, did not look as good as he normally does in the ring. But that said, I can't take away from any of the individual performances. Everybody from the Vision looked good, including Jake Paul. Credit where it's due. Logan Paul, excuse me. But there was nothing to write home about. There was not a single surprise for the whole match. Everybody that was in it was expected. The fans couldn't have cared less about Mr. Iguana or La Parca. It was. This is I feel like a waste of a Rumble. This whole thing was just built to cater to the Saudi fans, and it was kind of like a middle finger to the rest of the fan base.
I mean, I feel like the big pop for me is the face to face with Lesnar and Obafemi. 1,000,000%. That was one of them. And reading on X right now, somebody said, could this be the beginning of a feud between Lesnar and Obafemi? But not just that. Somebody also mentioned on X just now that they think Powerhouse Royce Keys could be working with LA Knight to take out the Vision, and that's how Jericho comes into the picture. But
that would be a weird combination. But
I mean, hey, I know a guy that can, type of thing. And honestly, I think that could be the feud that brings in Jericho is like Logan Paul. So, and then you could build up later for Jericho and LA Knight.
You very well could. It is kind of difficult to see right now, like if Jericho does indeed come back, where does he fit into the landscape? Because it is pretty stacked. You have a lot of guys that, and granted, they showcased their guys tonight. So, they got to get their stuff in. You didn't have guys losing spots to a celebrity, but you're also not drawing the eyes to the product that you should be. And I can already hear the Vince Russo loyalists already. Like the one of the big goals in a match, when you're putting on a show like this, isn't to just keep your fans happy, but to create new fans. And sometimes you do that by bringing in celebrities that have a different fan base in order to draw those eyes to you, to what you're doing. That's what they did with Jelly Roll. That's what they've done with Bad Bunny and various others. There was none of that tonight. This felt like a crown jewel pay-per-view. It did not feel like the Royal Rumble at all to me.
Yeah, and I mean, There is a couple performances in the Rumble that I will give where credit's due. Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and Obafemi. Like that whole NXT little circle right there, that was great.
Mhm.
I think it was a big nod to see Javon Evans and Obafemi, because that's probably been a couple of the best matches down in NXT. Was Obafemi
Mhm.
and Evans. And then
Yeah,
Evans' spot with Orton.
yeah, Javon Evans put on a great run tonight. I think he was the Iron Man of the match tonight. I do believe he went the longest outside of. I think he actually ended up going a little bit longer than Oba. It could be close there. Oba might have beat him a little bit as far as time length. But I, it's just one of those shows, man. It's like I love the performances by individuals. Ilya Dragunov, he did a great job. Him laying in the chops to Lesnar was a great spot. Um, and even though he got ragdolled out by Lesnar, it looked good. Um, some of the stuff from Orton, his timing with the RKO's, working with Javon was great. The tandem apron DDT to uh, was it Uso and was it Ela that he had out there? I forget. I'd have to go
I
back
have
and watch
to
the
go
spot.
back.
But it was a cool spot. You had a lot of good stuff within the match individually with performers.
Yep.
But as far as what the fans want out of a Rumble, it didn't deliver.
No surprises, and I think that's what I keep going back to in my head, is like, you promoted this. Oh, the men's Rumble is gonna have a lot of surprises, and where?
Well, I mean, literally the vignette that they played just before the match starts goes over. Well, we're gonna get returning legends and celebrities and surprise returns. Delivered on none of that. Not a single little bit. Again, individual performances within the match. Roman did great. Logan did great. Gunther was Gunther. Orton was great. I can't point out a single person in the match that didn't put on a good performance. Laparca, freaking Mr. Iguana, they played their roles. It looked good. Outside of that, individual performances, I don't feel like they really furthered any, much in the way of any storylines. Aside from the interruption of Drew McIntyre, basically doing a run in and Claymore kicking Cody Rhodes from in between the ropes, and eliminating him that way. That's really the only storyline that directly got furthered. You have some stuff you can build from with the way LA Knight came back and was facing the Vision. I'm kind of burnt out on it though already, to be honest with you. Like, how many times does LA Knight need to go up against a Bloodline or a Vision, or like, how much more does this guy really need to prove when he's over with the fans? He's one of your top merch sellers. He's the Slim Jim guy.
He needs a fresh reset.
Guy?
Fresh reset.
I disagree. They need to get out the damn way.
I'm not saying like character wise. I'm saying fresh reset on a feud.
Well, yes, that yeah, absolutely, can completely concur there. He needs to have a definitive win and walk away from what he's doing and start something new. And that's what the Rumble could have been for him.
There's a lot of people on social media that's happy, and then there's a couple people that are like, Roman doesn't need a title, and
he doesn't. Let's be honest. The Isle of Relevancy is the Isle of Relevancy. He's the tribal chief. He's the head of the table, whether he's got the belt or not. They can have a bloodline storyline all on their own. They can have a storyline where they feud against the Vision. No belts need to be included there. It's not the motivation at that point. The guys that need the belt, it's a prop. It's designed to be a signal to the world, like this is our guy. This is the this is the guy that's doing all of our our media. This is the guy we're sending out to do the different stuff. But it's also designed to make that person, to legitimize them, to take them to that next level. They didn't make anybody tonight, aside from, yes, they pushed Oba with his eliminations. They made Sol Ruka look good. And they kept the status quo with Gunther.
Well, there's a lot of questions going into, Elimination Chamber, going into Rumble. There's a lot going into tomorrow night's Monday Night Raw, and one of those is, I think we both kind of have our mindset on who attacked Braun Breaker.
I mean, if it was any more obvious that it was Seth Rollins, he might as well just have come out there in full regalia. Like, how many times we got to see a guy run out in a hoodie? Like, getting kind of old, guys. Let's get a new gimmick.
Should have just did it as Seth.
Yes, he should have. Like, why hide it? Especially if you're going to immediately announce to the world, oh, that was Seth Rollins.
Well, I mean, if you want to,
essentially what Heyman did.
If you want to play your cards right, okay, let's think about this. Okay, it's a hooded guy. It's almost similar to what Austin Theory was wearing when he started attacking people. Now that can play a little bit of a pointing of the fingers starting tomorrow, and then end up finding out it's Seth.
They could. I mean, they could also try to say it was R-Truth because he did the same thing with Cena. So, I mean, there's stories they can tell out of this, and they're going to have a lot of work to do tomorrow night to start making a lot of this make sense. But from a storyteller's point of view, I didn't see anything new. It was a lot of, let's tell the same story all over again. Let's do the greatest hits. My whole goal when I look at matches is I want to see how they're going to elevate this person beyond where they were before. Not keep doing the same old thing.
Yep.
And that was the biggest criticism of the prior era before Triple H, was that we were getting the same old shit shoved down our throat week after week after week. Nothing new was really happening. It was just, yep, here's more Roman Reigns. Here's more John Cena. Here's more our guy of the week. And it feels like we're back to that. It's like we're just going to keep recycling Cody Rhodes, recycling Roman Reigns. I want to see new guys in the picture. I want to see new matches, not the same one told over and over again. And you have one of the most stacked rosters in the industry, and one of the most stacked rosters they've ever had. It's time to start mixing up some matches, tell some new stories, put people in title pictures they weren't in before. Hell, you've got the partnership with TNA Wrestling. They own AAA. Like, there's some new stuff they can be doing. But it's just like the same reheated thing.
Yeah, and I would say
it doesn't feel like anything's new.
No. And as for Roman, I think you heard my opinion earlier before we started. If this is a true reset and they weren't going to go with Cody and Roman at Mania now, it does not make sense for Roman to go for Punk. Not after that nod, not after the handshake at War Games. It just makes zero sense. Why?
Yeah, I mean, there's no heat there.
Shouldn't be heat there.
As far as the story goes, it doesn't make sense for him to have animosity with Punk. With Rhodes, To an extent, yeah, because they've got a rivalry history, right? You can turn that back on whenever you want to, although I think everybody's tired of it.
Without a title, I mean, it would be fine because it's not feuding for the championship again.
Yeah, and I don't think either of them need it right now.
The only reason you would have Roman Reigns main event WrestleMania is if you don't know what plan you have for Punk. Which I would have sat out Rollins until after Mania if he was still, dealing with some injuries and stuff. Give him some rest and have Braun Breaker
Well,
and Punk again.
And to be fair, Cody will probably be ready more, 100%, probably in about the next 4 to 5 weeks. So the timing of it works out to where he can come back on TV, start cutting some promos, even though he's not 100% yet. And that's fine. But it doesn't have anything to do with Punk. His feud right now is with the Vision. So are Punk and Seth suddenly going to find themselves strange bedfellows having a team together? By the way, it's probably what's going to happen, at least until Mania. But that's the only thing I can really see that them, why Punk would be involved at all in that story. Otherwise, he would legitimately just sit back and see who comes out of the Elimination Chamber as the champion or as the number one contender and go to Mania.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens to the road. I mean, everybody's talking about it's the road to WrestleMania. To me, right now, it's the road to Elimination Chamber.
It feels like they blew a tire tonight, and they've got to do some maintenance before they get that thing back on the road. And there's an entirely, there's absolutely a possibility that a few months from now we could be sitting back going, oh, okay, it all makes sense now. But I don't feel like that's what's going to happen. And even so, the individual pay-per-view, PLE, whatever you want to call it, should still be satisfying for fans to watch. Yeah, that didn't happen tonight at all. You had, 4 matches on the whole card. Heel goes over in Women's Rumble. Heel goes over against AJ. Heel goes over for the WWE title with Drew McIntyre. And I hate to break it to people, Roman Reigns is still a heel. So you had a heel spot for every single match tonight.
To me, he's more like a tweener. Like, he can go in and out of it a little bit.
True. Well, he's an embraced heel.
Because you can kind of see the heel.
Like he's still a bad guy. He still cheats. He still does all the diabolical stuff. He's just honest about it, and the fans have grown to expect it and love what he brings to the table, and that's fine.
Like the heel tactic against Jay. I mean, it even though people probably laughed at that one. But I mean, it's.
But yeah, I didn't see anything setting up for. I saw a lot of setup being done for the Elimination Chamber and none for WrestleMania.
Yeah, because I don't know
Normally
if
you
they're
should
gonna
come out of the Rumble feeling like, oh, okay, well, I can see some stuff already forming for Mania, and then another like 50 to 25% of the show is going to be determined by events leading up to. That's a pretty typical formula. It works pretty well. Why would you throw that out with the bathwater? And it's not like the staff has changed a whole lot from yesteryear. They know this. And it's like they went to Saudi Arabia and just took a paycheck and said, look, we'll make the Saudis happy and fuck everybody else. And if this is what we have to look forward to next year when Mania is in Saudi, I won't be watching. and I'll just say this right now. If they're going to do the same thing to the women that they have been doing, forcing them to wear the freaking, wrist to ankle, chin to toe coverage, uh, nonsense, I'll be boycotting Mania when it goes to Saudi. I think it's pretty disgusting how they treat the women there. I found it pretty disgusting that they made Rey Mysterio change his mask format because they didn't want to cross on his mask. They made him go back to the old, Rey crown, the king crown on his mask from many, many, many moons ago just to keep them happy. I saw some tattoos that had to be covered up tonight. Some of them were poorly done with makeup before they went down. If the product has to be changed in mass to cater to the people that are there, I hate to break it to you, they're not real fans. Either give them what they if they are really wrestling fans, if they're really WWE fans, give them a real WWE show. Don't pander to them. Don't cater to their whims. Give them the same WWE show you would give them in Vegas. Give them the same one you'd give them in Montreal or in Madison Square Garden. If you're having to change that much to go suit them, they're not real fans of the product. And that's just my 2 cents on that.
Okay, and I could see that. I will say, I got two things to say. I think the one other pop that I had for the men's rumble was Americano. Oh man, you had one come out and then the other, which is cool.
That was fun. To be honest, it was a little predictable. I thought they would actually take it further than they did, but it was a tamed down version of what I kind of thought was going to happen. So I'm not mad at it. It was a fun spot. Like I said, there was a lot of good stuff within the match. It's the endings. The endings did not deliver. And that's what I take issue with. Like, I don't need to feel like my guy won. But I'll be honest, when you have one of the most over guys in the company, really, and within 2 companies, not even in the Rumble, yet he's being advertised as like one of the packages for your new 2K video game. How do you not have Joe Hendry in the match? But you're going to have Mr. Iguana and LA Park? Like, come on. La Parka hasn't been relevant since WCW. This is what it is. The Saudi audience had no clue who he was. They had no clue who Mr. Iguana was. The WWE universe isn't invested in those guys like they are a Joe Hendry, like they are an LA Knight. And you didn't even see Joe Hendry in the match. That's just baffling to me. Like, he was one of the biggest hits of the previous year. He doesn't even get to go. What the hell?
Yeah, like I could have done without Parka and Mr. Iguana this time around.
Yeah, and I could have gone without Dragon Lee. I could have gone without Rey Fenix. Because, sorry guys, while you're incredible athletes, you're not over. They're just not. Until either one of them learn how to work a mic, it ain't gonna happen. So,
Either way, it was man. Hopefully, is it crazy to me, or does anybody else in the chat that's watching right now? 'Cause I have a question for y'all too. When did Elimination Chamber become the the special returns and debuts and shocking shockers, and not the Rumble. Because now everybody's pointing at Elimination Chambers when Jericho comes. Which I can see why. Hold off to get back to the States. What's your thought, Pile Driver?
From what I was seeing over the last few days, Fozzy was still doing some concerts, so I don't think he was even ever there. But there's definitely a lot of things that they're just. I feel like they just limited themselves on because of the venue that they used. And they're going to have to pick up a lot of the pieces of it and make something from it tomorrow. You know, and maybe they realized that going into it, maybe they didn't. That, maybe they realized they pigeonholed themselves way too much by putting a major PLE there. I don't know. I can't speak to it, but they have a lot of loose ends out of the Rumble matches, which can be good. You have a lot of different storylines coming out of it, but in such a disjointed way now that I don't know that they've got the TV time to make up for it. It's gonna feel. I have a feeling that tomorrow night's, or not tomorrow night, but Monday Night Raw is going to feel very rushed, or like they're trying to cram way too much into a show to try and make up for a lot of the stuff that didn't translate. Because I could see how they're trying to start storylines kind of all over the place. They essentially started a rivalry between Lyra Valkyria and Bayley and the Bellas. They have that. You have more rivalries coming out of the Vision. You have, some interesting looks between Oba and Brock, and kind of all across the board. You have different little rivalries that can spin out of this, but none of them feel like they're worth talking about. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of them just don't make sense. They're very out of nowhere. The only real heat you saw between either of the two matches was when Io and Rhea were face to face with the Judgment Day. You felt some, like they're playing off some history here. The rest of the match was just, Lash Legend, she's great. Like that kind of stuff, like where she's suddenly here out of nowhere and she's suddenly dominating, even though she has no background to support any of that. And then the Men's Rumble, you had some heat between some Vision guys and, LA Knight and some different ones that were in there. But it was very odd. And who they picked to be in the main Rumble. Solo Sikoa being the only member of MFT to be in the match was weird. And yet to have some of the other guys be in there that were in there, it's like, what are we doing here? Not a single member of the Wyatt family is in the match. Weird. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like, these are things that are on your shows week after week after week. Some of the hottest stories, and you're not doing anything with it. You're just going to drop it like it didn't. Like you weren't just shooting a week ago. Why would you not want to at least have a member of each crew in the match so they could go face to face? Just this was easily the most disjointed PLE I've seen in easily the last 4 or 5 years. There's very little of it coming out of it makes any sense. Very few fans are going to be happy with the end result of it, individual matches. Again, individual performances within those matches aside, some of those were great. But the storytelling aspect of it, left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I
And I'm not just
completely.
mad that Jada Parker wasn't in the women's rumble at all either,
Or Joe Hendry.
or Joe Hendry. Like my picks to win either rumble didn't even get to be in the show. So I don't know. I didn't think either one of them was actually going to win, but I just wanted them to get some recognition for some hard work. But
and my pick was in the
you
women's.
didn't even have the TNA heavyweight champion in the match this year.
Yep, that was a
Like,
shocker.
what
too.
gives? How are you not gonna you're gonna start a tradition and then not keep up with it? That's how I feel about the pay-per-view. Meh.
So Derpy, that's in our live chat right now, said, "I'm glad the Power Rangers showed up for the first hour and 10 minutes." Say his name and he appears.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Mm-hmm.
Still do.
My
They need to capitalize on his momentum quickly, or he's just going to be another guy. And I feel like that's kind of where he's already falling into.
Well, my pick for the women's, she returned as number 30, Tiffany Stratton. She didn't win, but she was the runner-up for the women's rumble. And then my pick, Roman Reigns, actually won the match. So there we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we even agreed when we were making our picks. Like your choices to win were a lot more likely than mine. But I like to advocate for the underdogs, swing for the fences, acknowledge hard work from those that I see are making improvements and trying to capitalize and really push themselves both in and outside of the WWE structure or AEW, wherever they might be. But the winners of the matches in of themselves, like Liv Morgan, makes sense. She's reliable. She's a hard worker. Whatever you give her, she's going to make something out of it. Roman, he's consistent. He's a consistent draw. From that perspective, that makes sense. From story perspective, which is what I care about as a fan, none of it makes sense. And that's what I have issue with. So I hope that they take some things and run with it. But unless their intent tonight was just to destroy the Vision and to destroy the Judgment Day and to kind of say that these factions don't matter anymore, even after they spent the last 2 years building them up, if that was their goal, then goal achieved. But
I also want to point out before we even decide to end this podcast for tonight is one of our predictions for surprises did not also come out and cross.
Yeah, and I had a feeling he wasn't gonna happen, especially after he picked up the MLW championship this last week. And same being said for Ken Anderson, picking up the JCW championship, the Lunacy championship there. It makes their likelihood to appear much, much less, but balls were dropped all over the place. So they didn't bring in Jelly Roll, they didn't bring in ISHO Speed, they didn't bring in any kind of popular celebrities for anything. And I'll also point out, normally at these PLEs, or really any given Monday Night Raw, if there's celebrities there, they acknowledge it. They had none tonight in Saudi.
Nobody wanted to travel.
Nobody, and these are people with private jets that wouldn't notice the travel time. Like the travel's not the issue, because they go to the UK, they go to Japan, they go to China, they go to the Caribbean, they go to South America. They're going all around the world. The issue comes down purely to they do not want to be associated with Saudi Arabia. They have a horrible reputation, and it can quickly turn on a whim. So in a politically unstable world as it is right now, it's a gamble to be associated with some, with a part of the world that is so controversial. Um, so yeah, I would, if I were in their spot, I wouldn't want to go there.
No, no. That's, man. I feel a
Oh,
little
what could have
disappointed.
been is what is the theme of the night. Oh, what could have been.
Stop. This is the part where I'm going to get a little heated again, a little fired up. Stop
Dude, let it go.
promoting this epic night. Stop promoting surprises and then not have any. It's so frustrating for fans to. You're only doing that. Oh, so you get people to watch. Cool. Then when people
Yes,
get
but
to.
on the backside, it ends up with drops in viewership because it violates one of the simplest principles in customer service. Under promise, over deliver.
Facts. And it's. People are going to.
Instead, they're overselling and then delivering very little.
And then it's going to end up becoming people that just don't. They don't even. I'll see it when I believe it type of thing.
And let's look at the upside coming out of tonight, because there is an upside. I predict viewership for TNA and AEW will be up this week. I bet New Japan has an increase in viewership this week and everything they're doing. Because fans are going to find an outlet. They're going to find something that is delivering what they're asking for. And if you think that the other side isn't sitting back going, see, fans aren't happy. They wanted this and didn't get it. How can we instead supplement what they're asking for and give them our alternative?
Jericho's going to show
that's
up.
not happening, then they might as well go back to when, they might as well go back 10 years.
You're going to end up seeing Jericho
When they
show up
pretended they were
on
the only ones
AEW.
around.
Watch. Dynamite Jericho. Watch.
It wouldn't be surprising.
Because they're gonna be like, what you
And the thing
could
is,
have done.
Jericho's not going to say a whole lot publicly anyway, one way or the other, because as long as he's being talked about, that's money in his pocket. So he
And
could
it's
come out,
even more money to
the next night and say,
negotiate.
"See, you thought I was going."
Like, it's a tactic that a lot of people in sports use, like NFL, for instance. Like, they use, oh, well, they're talking about me. I'm probably going to get more money in this negotiation for this contract. Jericho's doing the exact same thing that any other people in any other sport would do. And is it smart? 100%. It's
Oh,
not
absolutely.
stupid.
MJF was saying that there was interest from WWE before anybody there knew who the hell he was. But why did he do that? To start controversy. And then questions get asked. Are you interested in such? Then they start looking up who he is because they realize the fans want to see this guy. And then you do end up having a legitimate bargaining war from just names being talked about. So WWE, if they keep delivering this kind of product, they are going to see real competition happen if the other side gets their heads out of their asses. Because I got my issues with Tony Khan too, so don't think this is me shitting on WWE.
Yeah, there's some stuff there
I've got
too.
my issues with TNA. I've got my issues with Maple Leaf Wrestling, and I see something everywhere. Everybody's got a critique, right? But if Tony Khan would stop the booking and hire really any damn body else to do it for him, with the talent pool they've got, they would be putting on amazing shows every single night. So Tony Khan's the biggest problem with AEW. But I didn't see anything tonight that was anything above AEW level booking. So suck it, Hunter.
And that could probably just end the show right there with that comment.
Yeah, and also probably ended any chance I ever had of working for the WWE. But I think that ship passed a long time ago. So
It's
I won't be getting invited to do any. We probably won't be getting any WWE roster guys anytime soon on the show.
no, well, let's just hope things get better. Hopefully tomorrow, Monday. Sorry, Monday. I keep thinking it's Sunday. Monday. It tells us a bigger story. It gives us a little bit bigger of a. Oh, so this is where they're going with. This is what they're heading
Yep.
towards. Other than
Hopefully,
that,
writers take stuff from it and go, "Hey, well, this is the results we have. This is what the reactions were we got," and they make something out of it. Um, so I really hope they're listening to the fans. They're listening to podcasts like ours that represent, both sides. If they're happy with the product or if they're indifferent, whatever, listen to the voices of the fans because that's where your money's coming from. It's not coming from Saudi Arabia. And if you think it is, you need to look a little bit more long term. So
well, yeah,
with that,
agreed.
here's to hopefully better shows in the future and hopefully a kick-ass Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. Because I want them to do well. I want them to put out great shows. I don't like being negative about the product.
Me neither.
I was again very hyped on the Rumble coming into tonight. To say nothing else, they oversold in a big way and underdelivered. So they've got to pick up the pieces of that, go into tomorrow, and be better. And I think that is a fair way to put things, right? Because we can all do better on a daily basis. We should all be called out when we're not doing great, but encouraged to be better. So
Agreed. And
not just suck it, Hunter, but Hunter, be better because you can be. How about
we've
that?
seen it in 2024.
This is true. Capable of better.
But that I have no more comments for Rumble. No more.
I think that's it
Just
for
do
me
better.
too, bro. Let's do better.
Do better. All right,
I
guys.
hope we get an amazing show next year.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Royal Rumble 2026 post show from the Hot Tag Podcast. I'm Future TV.
I'm Pile Driver, and we'll be tagging out until tomorrow night after the Raw recap, hopefully with positive things to say.
Exactly.
You guys have a beautiful night.
Good night, everybody. We will see you on Tuesday. You guys have a great Sunday tomorrow, and then we'll see you guys back here on Tuesday after Monday Night's Raw. This is the Hot Tag Podcast. See ya.